Straight up. Hello, good evening, and welcome back live here on Inside Radio. My name is Shofa Plus, and you know the Pest Experience Show. That's basically what we do and how we do it. All right. My name remains Shofa Plus, and you are now listening to your number one online radio station, the light that you need. That you need exactly the lights you need exactly. We're talking about different things that are related to the pest control industry, pest control, different level, different states, different cities. This is the platform where we talk about every single thing. You know what I'm saying? All right. And today marks the first show of the year. This is the amazing year 2023. Today marks an amazing year. This is the first show. And today we have an amazing topic that we have to deliberate on. And right now I'm being joined by top experts across different cities. Pest Experience Show basically is all about across different cities, across different states, across different countries. That's what global, that's what the Pest Experience Show is really all about. And today we have three major amazing guests. I know you're from the graphics and every other designs that we have seen around. You'll be seeing just two people. But fortunately, we have three great men joined with me live here on Inside Radio. And together with me, I have Mr. David Gracious, all the way from Mexico. All right. Thank you very much
Hello.
for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me,
All right.
Joseph.
Thank you. And also, we have a legend. When you're talking about business, when you're talking about strategies, when you're talking about six figures, when you're talking about big, big money, you're thinking of millions, you're thinking about strategies, you're talking about consultancy. We have Dr. Engineer Pompey Olutayo, FMCG, CGG, MTB, all over all the certifications you can ever think about. Thank you very much
Good
for joining
evening.
us. Good evening, sir. And lastly, and not the least, we
Yeah,
have an
good
amazing.
evening. Well, thanks for having me on board.
Great, great, thank you. And last but not the least, we have an amazing person. When you talk about products, amazing products, we have um, Mr. PCO Ayodiji the Fortune, aka the Fortune Pest Solutions. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. That intro was good. All right, so these are the amazing guests that we have today, and we have an amazing topic that we want to amazingly deliberate on. All right, and this is has to do with the predictions, pest control predictions. Pest control is growing global in the next coming years, and it's predicted that pest control is going to increase about 31.67 US billions dollars. It's going to be increasing by that by 2027. And together, we're going to be deliberating on this tonight. So, Mr. David, you are from Mexico. Tell us about the markets. Introduce us to the markets in Mexico, the pest control industry, basically in Mexico.
Well, I think right now the pest control market here in Mexico and I think in all Latin America, it's increasing because every time people is getting more knowledge about things that I mean about the importance of having um, sanitation and better habits about pest control and things like that they can cause illness and get people sick, and so we do have the prediction that it's growing, and I think the one of the most important things for us as PCOs or as pest control companies that we have is like try to reduce the use of chemicals. Like go more into MIP, go more into better habits to prevent infestations, to prevent um, the presence of any disease or any focus of disease. So I think that's one of, I mean, the direction that it's taking the pest control. I think it's all over the world, but here in Mexico and as I said, in Latin America, we should go in that direction to reduce considerable. I mean, to reduce the use of chemicals. I don't know if you guys agree with that. If that's your vision, I think in the United States they have that culture more grown, and I think we are going that way as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. Basically, I'm a pest control operator, all right, and the pest control industry is growing drastically, and that's why we have a discussion like this for today. And I would like Mr. D Fortune to talk to us about the pest control industry in Nigeria.
Yeah, good evening from here. SB, can you hear me? Good evening to all the participants of this broadcast this evening. I just wanted to be sure if you can get my audio. Can you hear me? Can I just get a signal that you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir, loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Okay, thank you so very much, SB. Thank you for the opportunity to be on this show tonight. And thanks to all the other co-guests. Thank you everyone for making it here. Pest control, as it is all over the world, is a thriving industry, and is a thriving industry that has great prospect for the future. The reason being that our positioning or where we are in the industry is something that will always be required. The diversity in the pest control industry is huge. Our services, will always be required. That means it's a thriving business, a business that has a lot of future. It's a business that we have not even tapped into the maximum potential yet. We are seeing, even in Nigeria here, we are just still about maybe less than 10% of the potential that pest control offers in the offer. So it's a huge future, especially in this new year. It's our advocacy and I believe that a lot of people we push more, we do more creative ways in which we can tap into new markets because the market is huge and we are not yet there yet. So as it is all over the world. And just as the other guests mentioned about less chemical approach, this is becoming the global approach to pest management. We talk about IPM, integrated pest management, integrated vector management. These are the things that is the advocacy from all global associations and pest controllers all over the world. In Nigeria, here we have PECAN, Pest Control Association of Nigeria, which I'm privileged to be the National General Secretary. So one of the things that we tell our members that we try to do is that everything is not about chemicals. We ensure that you do the necessary things first before chemical, because like we always say, every chemical is a poison. So the less chemical we put in our environment, the better for us. And if we can get the job done with less chemical, we're sure going to be better off as an industry. So it's a huge industry ahead, and we are open to learnings, we are open to new informations, we're open to new tools, we are open to new strategies, to ensure we keep developing and keep getting better. Thank you so very much, everyone. And as we proceed, maybe if we have more data to share, we will. Thank you, host. Thank you, SB. I appreciate you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for joining us. This is going to be a fantastic journey. And the main mention of the points that is E is part of the regulatory aspect of the country of the pest control industry in Nigeria, which is a PECAN. All right. We are coming to that particular topic of discussion because we are looking at regulatory aspect, equipment advancement, technological advancement in terms of equipment, in terms of chemicals, in terms of trainings. So, talking about trainings, we have Dr. Engineer Pompey, a lead coach and a lead consult, business consultant at the PCV Training Academy. So, what is the predictions in terms of training to service businesses? Dr. Engineer Pompey, sir.
Good evening.
Good
Thank you
evening, sir.
once again. for for the opportunity to come on board. I greet you, sir. Mr. Ayodeji the Fortune. Good evening. Mr. Devet, I appreciate you coming on board. When it comes to we're talking about the issue of, you say, training. Are you talking? Are we looking at is it the awareness or is it the way we are doing things down here in this part of the world, or which area are you trying to say we should look at from?
Both, basically, because people are literally need to be aware. What pest experience does basically has to do with awareness. What is the level of awareness of people? Are people aware about training first? Then are they utilizing it? So those are the two things that we need to look forward to. So you can't spill the milk and let us know, sir.
Okay, thank you. Um, in terms of the awareness, I would say it's still the awareness is there, but we still need more. We still need to do more things. We still need to create more awareness because you can't say we've gotten to 70% of that. We're doing it, but we're still not getting there. We still need to improve on awareness. But what we see in this part of the world, we are still trying to embrace what we call training, learning, coaching. And I do explain to people that there's difference between coaching and a coach and a teacher. You need to understand these two words. There is difference between a coach and a
Him. I think we lost him. Doctor, sir, can you hear us? Okay, so
Can you hear me?
basically, okay, I can hear you now, sir. Good.
All right, can hear me loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, as I was saying, I said the awareness is there, but we've not gotten it. We've not gotten it right. We've not gotten to the no the level that we need to get to in this part of the world. We are not embracing training and coaching the way we should, just to compare with the other part of the world. But we are getting there because from the analysis, the last 3 years, there's an increment in it. There's a lot of people embracing it compared to before, because a lot of people go into different services, go into different products and services, just because they know they heard from someone, but they don't know that they still need for real. You need to go through the formal training. That is what will put you're able to have the edge of what you're doing. You need to have the rudiment of that thing that you're doing. It's not just learning or hearing from people and you think you can get there. Just like the way I normally say things, that if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go with people. Because if you meet with someone that you're trying to do a business and you met someone that wants to mentor you, someone that has been in the business for quite some decades and all that, the person will allow you to scale through some hurdles that he never went through. So that is the essence of training and essence of you being coach. But training is very necessary. And but we have not gotten there in this part of the world because we are still struggling. But we know in the future we're still going to get there because there's a lot of increment compared to the last 5 years. The way we really do, the way we really embrace training. But now there's a lot of increment. People are embracing it, but we still need to do more in terms of training in this part of the world now. But we know we are getting there. So basically, that is what I can still say now for concerning the training. If we embrace training, there's a lot of open doors that is going to happen. You'll be able to scale through. There are some things you don't need to wait for you. You will know it yourself and you'll be able to apply it. Just like what my other guests talked about, reduce the chemical and go into the high PMs and all that. But if you don't go for training, you might not know all these things. It's not a science rocket. It's something we need to learn. It's something you need to know. So until when your eyes are open, that is when you understand what you're meant to do. So that is what I will say for now. Thank
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I really believe that training is the most important aspect when it comes to pest control. You literally have a lot of things you need to learn, and most of the jobs are actually learned on site. All right. So, talking about the African market, all right, the pest control industry in the African market. We'll first go to the African market before we look out for the advancement. Then we talk about what Mexico is doing currently and how we can also tap into that kind of knowledge. But I'm going to call on to Mr. Ayodeji the Fortune to tell us about the regulatory aspect of the pest control industry in Nigeria. And what are we looking forward to? What have we done 2022 and what are we looking forward to in 2023?
Okay, thank you, thank you, also, SBI. You see, you know, pretty before now, the regulatory firmness of practicing pest control in Nigeria, as many parts of Africa, is a bit porous. People just wake up in their home, they just feel like, oh, I'm unemployed, or I'm familiar with this job, I can just carry a tank and start telling people I offer spraying services or pest control services. A lot of people get to start like that, just to keep body and soul together. And as it progresses, they tend to now begin to look at what are even the regulatory standpoint for for the business itself. But this is changing, and it has to change. In the real sense of it, you can't even, it shouldn't even be allowed to even enter anybody's property, to even do anything without going through necessary training, coaching, and the certification and licenses. In Nigeria, the law is there and the regulatory bodies are there. Just that, like Engineer popularly said, we still have a long way to go, but it has started and it's moving very fast. From the before you operate a pest control business in Nigeria, you don't just wake up and start gathering yourself and like, oh, I want to do this, I'm doing this in people's home, which unfortunately is what many people are doing currently to start, which after a while they now get to normalize their certification. But the first approach is actually to seek for your license. You register your company, you have to operate as a business, as a company, then you apply for your license. You have to have necessary training, like you must have some certain level of training that you've passed through to show that you really have the basic understanding of what pest management, vector management is all about, and the area you are specializing. Then by the law of Nigeria, you have to have a net officer consultant. You have, because we have the agency of the federal government of Nigeria that is saddled with the responsibility to issue license, and coordinate overall nationally registering of environmental health practices in Nigeria, which is ECON, Environmental Health Officers Registration Council of Nigeria. And the procedure of getting registered is that you have to have a consultant health officer as your consultant, either on a full-time staff basis or on a consulting basis. So then you apply, you get your national license. And when you get your national license, that doesn't still give you the right to go into any jurisdiction to operate. We have something we call the jurisdiction of like the provinces, the state, the local government, because the law also empowers the local government to oversee and conduct oversight function on the activities you are doing in every locality. So you need to check out with the health officer of every local government in Nigeria to get a permit to operate in that local government. By the law, you pay a stipend, which is a stipend to be able to operate, just for administrative purposes. Outside that, we have, just the way you have MPMA in America, BPC in United Kingdom. In Nigeria, we have what we call the Pest Control Association of Nigeria, PECAN. It's an association of over 30 years now of all professional practicing pest control and vector controllers in Nigeria. In fact, not being a member of PECAN is a disservice to anybody practicing pest control, because it's actually compulsory, to practice, before you can actually, because as it is going now, you can't even present any certificate anywhere if it is not a PECAN certificate that you have done pest control service. And that is the one reason I always tell every like-minded that you don't need to waste time. If you have opportunity of joining PECAN, why waste time? Join. To join PECAN is yes. So
you said
okay.
something now. I want to get that. Sorry, sir. You said something now. I want to get that very, very clear. You said it's not possible to carry out any job without PECAN certificate, right?
Yeah,
Or is
that
it
is
like
the
it's
way
not
it's
PECAN?
going.
That
Pardon?
is the way it's going. Wow.
That is the way it's going, and it's getting there very quickly. It's just the way. For example, a lot of people will argue it. We tell them that, for example, let's take MBA or NMA as an example. MBA is National Bar Nigeria Bar Association. That is the Association of Lawyers. NMA is
Okay.
Nigeria Medical Association, Association of Medical Doctors. You cannot stand before a judge in the court, even though you have distinction in school as a barrister. If you are not a member of MBA, the judge will not listen to you, right? The same
Yeah.
way, the same way you cannot. So that is what it is. Because to use that as a case study, you cannot file any case in court without your MBA code number. Just the same way
Mm.
PECAN has a code number. Every member of PECAN has a code number that sets you apart. That this is so when you put your code, we know who you are. So every member has a code number. That means the only viable certificate, which is rationalized now by ECON and LASEPA and every other state environmental protection agency across, the certificate of PECAN is become the nationally accepted certificate. And in fact, NAFDAC and many other agencies of government now look forward to PECAN certificate. So you don't have it, you are more or less like practicing legally because you cannot really operate the way you want to operate. So we keep encouraging people. It's important. Don't underestimate the power of such an association. You may just be doing yourself a lot of disservice, and before it gets too late. Thank you.
I think the regulatory aspect of the pest control industry in Nigeria is growing drastically. Like it's really, really booming up. And I'm super impressed about this. I think we're gonna have a special show where we bring in people from LASEPA, OYEPA, and all the environmental agencies to talk about the importance of this because this is quite important. I mean, that point that you made without the certificate, you nearly probably the next 6 months or in fact, from the time I saw the collaborations between LASEPA or Elcon and Pecan, it was really amazing. It was really, really amazing. And congratulations to the Pest Control Association of Nigeria. You're doing well. You're doing fantastic jobs. All right. So thank you very much, PCO, Mr. Ayodeji Fortune. Thank you very much. So now let's go over to another country. Let's see how the regulatory aspect is going on there. Is it the same? Is it different? Is there something new? And what are the things that are new? And what are the things can we personally adopt? All right, that we can adopt in the system. So, Mr. David, thank you very much for joining us. What's the regulatory standard in your own country?
Well, here we have a national license. That it's regulated by the states. I mean, it's provided by the states, and each state has its own dependence, but it's like it comes from a national regulation. And as I read the market here, we do have I mean, not the rules. I mean, in practice, it's divided in three ways. The illegal market where the PCOs can focus only on houses and residential services because you have to provide. I mean, because you don't have to provide any license or any document that makes the service, formal. And then we do have in the middle like a mix of formal and informal market, which is fitted by. I mean, it's there you have like restaurants and commerce in general. Why? Because they don't ask the the pest control companies for any legal documentation, but for the how do you say that the certificate. I'm sorry, the certificate that makes them um, make valid with the authorities that they have done their pest control services. And then you have like the big companies that they ask you for tax payment, social security, like all the documents that makes your company to be formal, legal, paying taxes, and with license, with certificate, valid certifications, and where they regulate your technicians to be with the knowledge of management of chemicals and like everything, like applications and like all the knowledge that you that as PCO has to have. And that's the way I see the regulations in here, and that's how it works in truth, in reality.
Fantastic. I think in your own country, you need to provide certifications first before you can carry out. You have to carry out trainings. The importance of training. That's good. I think that's something that is very much important in your own country. There, training certifications are really the most important stuff. Am I correct?
Yes, yeah, that's correct. I mean, in order to have a national license, you have to prove that you first have like training, the knowledge, the equipment, the facilities to have in safe places all the chemicals or the equipment, the protection equipment, and everything. So that's the regulation, and if you have that in like in order, you are available. I mean, you can have like a national license. That doesn't mean that you're gonna have it, but you can. And
Okay.
in order to provide the services to the market, you have to provide a certificate. So you have to have like the license to provide the certificate.
Fantastic, fantastic. This is a quality one. I think it's still the same strategy that we implement here. So that shows that the industry here in Nigeria is growing. And I'm really proud to be a pest control operator here in Nigeria. All right. So now we've looked at the legal aspect, regulatory aspect, and our predictions for the next year. So obviously, according to what Mr. Ayodeji has said, the developments in the registration and legalization aspect of pest control is growing, and same as other countries too. And we are also developing in terms of trainings. All right. So now let's look at the product aspect. What is the product? What are the products that we looking forward to? In fact, that is the major aspect that we're going to be focusing more of our energies on. All right. I'm going to be starting with Mr. David. All right. What are the product advancements that are going, technological advancement? I was going through some studies and I discovered that even rodents, it will get to a certain point that rodents will become, before you can get rid of rodents, you need to track them. You can just track their locations, where they are, you know, all those kind of technologies are growing drastically in the pest control industry. So, what are the advancements that are going that are that we're expecting to see in 2023?
Well, as I said, I think we should go on the IPM direction. So we first we need to reduce the use of chemicals. So the products, they if we do that, if we move as a PCOs, if we move in order to be a an MIP, IPN, I'm sorry, an IPM technician, the market is going to have to change to evolve to be more effective. So, I mean, I think that's the way it is, but we need to use the social networks and all the channels to the communication channels to spread this message of IPM, because here we do not have the culture of IPM. Like I mean, majority of technicians and companies, they are chemical depending. You know, they go and they spread a lot of
Just like the
insecticide,
exterminator.
and we still have like I don't know how to say that in English, phosphorating. I
Yeah,
mean,
organophosphate.
yeah, organophosphorase, like the old generation of chemicals. And as someone said here, like every insecticide has poison, even if it's new generation, old generation, but they are like potentially cancer and irritating, like,
Yeah,
and since you can go to the store and get them, like a lot of people it's in danger, you know. So
good.
what are the predictions in this way? I mean, my prediction is that we as companies of pest control companies, we can spread this message so the market doesn't demand many chemicals, so they can start putting out the old generations and giving more focus and or more importance to the new chemicals, like um, that are not like more irritable, or they are not bad for the this is something hard for me, like this is a language that I haven't talked about,
Fantastic.
like the but I mean, like the environment, you know, that doesn't damage so much
That's
the environment.
fantastic, fantastic. I think the level of the product and what you're trying to explain is that the products are advancing and we are changing from different generations. Let's say, for example, rodenticide, and the lot of rodenticide now is here. The king of rodenticide is here, Mr. Ayodeji the Fortune. You know, so we have the first anticoagulant rodenticide. We have the second generation. You know, we have the first generation. We have second generation, and that is the stage of pesticides. You know, like the warfarin, the days of warfarins, the days of when you talk about organophosphate, talk about the DDTs. You know, talk about those days. All these ones are old generation. You know, that was exactly what you're trying to explain. So I would like Mr. Ayodeji to talk about product. What are the advancements in product in Nigeria and Africa globally?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I hope you can see hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you for the, you know, as it is, even though we are advocating IPM, zero chemical approach or reduced chemical approach for treatment, it is evident that we cannot at the moment say we have gotten to the point where we have achieved the zero chemical. So chemical is still a critical part of our operation. You know, it's a critical part of our operation, and with chemical, we know that there are so many things we have to do. But at the same time, because we understand that what chemical is, it is also important for us to understand the type of chemicals that are being used and the safety and the hazard management of such chemicals, both for human and environment. You know, in Nigeria here, before now, you know, the agro-based formulations of chemicals have ravaged our market in so many ways. For example, people continue to use the emulsifiable concentrate formulation, which is mostly, in many cases, formulated for agricultural purposes. And you see, because of the affordability, and you understand it's affordable in many ways because many governments of the world give rebates tax-free to anything agri. So, and that means those chemicals always arrive a bit cheaper than the regular public health-based chemicals. So, in that
Wow.
wise, a lot of people, for example, if you are importing an agro-based chemical into Nigeria, you are paying zero VAT, zero duty.
Oh,
So,
no
so,
wonder we have a lot
so,
of agrochemicals.
so, and it's unfortunately that The product that was supposed to be used strictly for as an agrochemical is now being used as public health. And as I import product like any public health product like flucomafin, Kubo, Fipronil, premise, I'm paying over 25 to 40% on duty for importing such product. Then you cannot beat the price. The price become a bit high for a lot of people, right? Because you don't know the amount of regulations that go into such standard product. So a lot of people are forced to be using the cheaper grade, the product that are made basically for agro, for agro markets, and using it for public health. But the advocacy is on. We keep advocating, we keep telling people the importance of using the right product for the right environment. You mentioned anticoagulant. Most people these days they use the toxic category of rodenticide, the zinc phosphide of this world, the aluminum phosphide of this world. But we are saying that people need to move from that to this anticoagulant because the safety level of anticoagulant product is higher than all these toxic-based things. This toxic one like zinc phosphide, aluminum phosphide, they clear anything aside, they kill anything. And because of that also, it is easier to cause what we call bait shyness. Rodents are able to detect it at a certain point and begin to dodge it. But when you go for the anticoagulant, it becomes a little bit difficult for rodents to suspect what kind of, if they are eating poison or not. And because it doesn't kill them on the instant, it takes about 3 to 7 days, in most cases 10 days, 2 weeks to kill them, depending on the maybe it's a single feed anticoagulant or it's a multiple feed anticoagulant that you are using. So at least it gives a lot of safety to both you and the environment. You can able to avoid, and because it has antidotes, then even if an unintended pest, for example, a lot of people have different pests in their home. If they by error or whatever feed on those anticoagulants, you still have a chance, at least a little slim chance of rescuing those animals by just giving them the vitamin K treatment. So that's the advantage of using proper product, but they could come a bit expensive than the regular, cheaper, acute rodenticide. We talk about every other chemicals, for example, when we're talking about high-grade chemicals such as microcapsulated formulations, suspension concentration, they are higher dose, they are formulated basically for public health and environmental health. They have greater effects to the environment, they give you better results, and their safety level is higher than the EC formulations. And because they are also made for public health, they can last long. They can last for as much as 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, depending on the weather condition and the application method of such products and the environment. But when a lot of people believe in the cheap, they go for lambda cyhalothrin EC, they go for deltamethrin EC, they go for dichlorophos EC, all this, and they just want to get the job done. Oh, the cockroach died, this and that. But all those chemicals are formulated not for public health purposes. So we keep advocating, we keep encouraging people to take a shift from the cheap agro base, which is not made for that purpose, and use the right product. Because you still have to use chemical, we are seeing a journey of chemical use. And as we deploy high grade product, like for example, we've started introducing nanotechnology product into the market from Nigeria, which is MC Data product, is a microcapsulated using of nanotechnology product into pest control. The first time we have that done in Nigeria, and it's been accepted massively because in this case you just have to use a very little quantity, and it will keep it is effective for many weeks and many months, and it's safe. In fact, you can enter back into your apartment in 2-3 hours, without any odor, because it's microcapsulated. These are advanced products. Yeah, you may see the price, say, oh, it's expensive, but the value we get beyond the money. So it's all about advocacy. It's all about teaching. It's about knowledge. If you want to be an expert in this thing, the type of material you use also matters. You cannot continue to use certain product that will only last for 2 weeks. When you use this EC product, they only control mosquito, control cockroach for just 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they are done. Their residual effect is over because they are made for agro purpose. And in agro, you are supposed to harvest within 7-10 days. That's why their concentration is not made to be strong enough for public health. Because if you use lambda, that is agro-based EC, to spray your maize, your vegetable, the science behind it knows that you are meant to harvest that vegetable within the next 5-7 days for human consumption. Then you use it to spray your residential, your home. you're sure not going to get the long-lasting result that you want. And you don't want to be spraying your house. You don't want to be spraying your customer's place every now and then, every week or every 2 weeks. So you go for products that are safe, that the safety indices are high, and they can give you much more results. And these are the things we're advocating, and these are the things we're investing on, in Nigeria. I will keep telling people that we need to make that switch from the typical agro-based, let's leave agro for agriculture as it is, and let's use the right product. We call ourselves a public health industry, then use the product made for public health, because it is cheaper for you in the long run, it is safer for you in the long run, it is safer for you, the applicator, the environment, and it is the right thing to do. And you see, it is, like I mentioned, you import agro, you use agro, you are not paying tax on those products. That's why a lot of investors, that's the challenge we have, because a lot of investors would rather invest in agro than invest in the public health, because they know that when they bring in the agro product, even those people doing public health pest control fumigation will still come and buy, and they are selling it at a premium for them, so they are making a lot of money in that regard. So it's a kind of cheat code going on. But those products we actually subsidize for farmers, subsidize heavily for farmers, so that farmers can afford, so that they can produce food. Remember, our work so then when you are bringing in a product that we use, like you are bringing in flucomafin, bromadiolone, bringing in premise, imidacloprid of suspension concentrate, microcapsulated detamethrin of all those grade, you pay premium for those products, and you pay premium tax, you pay premium duty. Then the product seems to arrive a bit high, but even at that, the value of the product is incomparable to your agro base. So if you have never tried that, all those,
I think
yeah,
what we need to do, right, or what we need to do at this kind of stage is to increase or talk to maybe the regulatory aspect to bring up, because I think if these products are literally available, it's going to reduce the application of agro in facilities.
Yeah, you are correct. And it's about knowledge. A lot of us to PCOs, pest controllers, we need to understand that it is even cheaper for you to use the public health product. For example, I give you an instance. When you use a MAC data, MC data, detamethrin, which is microcapsulated, a liter goes to about 330 liters of water. A liter goes to about 330 liters of water. That means you only use just about 30 ml for your compression spray of about 8 liters. 30 ml. But in most cases, when you are using this agro-based product to spray your home, you want to make it, because you are not sure of the concentration. You want to, so it is an unprofessional approach of doing pest control, and this is what the law frown at. Professionals should frown at that, because you are applying things in people's home. You have to understand that there is a minimum standard that you need to apply where people live. And especially chemical that this, for example, when I talk about microcapsulated chemical, because they are covered in plastic, the effect is covered in a way that they don't feed the odor, and it's not toxic to the human, but it keep releasing the active ingredient gradually, and keep controlling those insects for a longer time. So it is like safer, environmental more friendly than and when you even look at the amount of money you invest in buying it, you realize that you save a lot of money at the long run, especially when you are comparing a product like Premise by Bayer for termites to other generic termite treatment product. It may sound expensive or look expensive, but when you look at the volume of a liter to 800 liters of water for formulation, you cannot compare such in terms of the result that it will give you at the long run. So that is what it is. The advantage is massive.
I think there's a lot that has to do with product, because if I leave we could also go, But in terms of products, I think we need to look at the regulatory aspect, because if the regulatory aspect reduces tax just like the way agro works, then it's going to be seriously beneficial and easy for us or pest control operators to go with. So let us go on a quick break before we go into and dive into the business strategies and business of the pest control in 2023. Radio. And my name is Sofu Babalo. All right, welcome back. If this is your first time you're joining us live here, this is the Pest Experience Show live on Inside Radio. And together with me, we have an amazing guest that we've talked about the product. We talk about regulatory aspect of the business, of the pest control business of 2023 and all the years to come. We've talked about the regulations, products, and also now we are now left with the marketing strategies, the business aspect of the pest control industry. And I'm going to be joining me nobody else than Dr. Engineer Pompey, a business strategist. All right. Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Um, Now we're talking about business strategy, right?
Yes, sir. For
Okay.
2023.
I think for we can't really, if you want to talk about business strategy, it's very wide. We can't just say business strategy. We need to know before we talk about the business strategy itself. What first thing we need to know is what are your goals. If you don't know your goals, you can't tell me you want to talk about the strategy itself. If you want to start up a business, what is the vision? What is the mission? So you need to start from one step to another. Now we're not talking about oh, you're going to business strategy and pest control. You want to go into pest control, just like what Mr. Mr. Ayodeji and Mr. Delvet they've talked about. It's all about you understand what you're going into. The first thing we're saying strategy. Strategy goes down to the rudiment. But a lot of us take strategy, business strategy from top. They will now be going, which is not. You need to come from down to from bottom to the upper part. So we're talking about business strategy. Business strategy in this aspect of the world we're talking about is what are your goals? What are you trying to look at? What is the next thing you want to move? Before I even defined or talked about the business strategy, just like what Mr. Ayodeji just talked about the fortune. When he brought in this Okumafin, then he made some adverts, he run the adverts, he did everything possible. And it makes it that we ourselves, we need to buy into the product. But he has tested the product apart from the regulating body doing all what they need to do. The market itself, they decide for you most of the time. So he has done the fundamental, that's why we call it feasibility study. Before you push anything out, you should be able to strategize. Business strategy is just two words coming together, business strategy. And that's why I said break anything they give to you. Break it down is either is in syllables or is in phrase. So let's break it down. Business strategy. What is business? What is strategy? By the time you combine both, you'll be able to understand it better. But sometimes we put two words which are phrase, business strategy. We get confused. You now want to try to crack your brains. What are we going to talk about? But look at it from different business strategy. It's a phrase. Break it out into two. What is business? The more you can define your business, the more you can define strategy. Put the two together and add it together for you to get what you're going about. Tonight, you need to know that we're talking about what's your goal for 2023. What are your business strategies? Before you talk about your business strategy, what are your goals? If you know your goals, that is when you can now know, oh, what strategy do I want to go? And that your goals is now the business we're talking about. We're into pest control. What you've done last year, you'll be able to know, evaluate yourself. Did I pass or did I fail? You can't be in between. You can't tell me, oh, you broke even. I broke even. Breaking even is not a business. It's just a sale through. So don't see it as a business. Don't see it. It's not. You're not making profits. You're not losing. And so why will you run for a 12 calendar month and you're telling me you never got, you didn't succeed? That means you never succeed. So you are still a failure. for my own interpretation. How can you do 12 calendar months and you're telling me you didn't make profit, but you didn't lose? That means who are you? You're still a loser because you've lost in the sense of the energy you put in, every other thing you put in. Forget the money part, forget the financial part. So business strategy, as we all say, it's all the decision taking and the action undertaken by a business for achieving a large vision. Now, we're now looking at it from the angle of knowing what business strategy is. The main thing you need to understand is execution. And Mr. Ayodeji and they mentioned executions matters in business strategy. You want to face the market, you need to, well, after understanding the strategy, that, oh, people will now come and meet you that, please, can you tell me the four types of business strategy? They will tell me business strategy. Yeah, we have four different types of business strategies. Number one is organization strategies, which we put under corporate. That organization strategy is just the corporate strategy, how you can run because you can't do it on your own. And we have the business strategy, that is the competitive, that one is under competitive, where if we enter that and all that. The fourth one is functional strategy. The fourth one is operating strategies. You need to, all these strategies, you need to know how to apply it. Depends on the kind of business you are running.
Mm.
The moment you understand all this, you now need to ask yourself, why do I need to import business strategy? For 2023, whatever does not work for you, what you've done last year that didn't work for you, don't use that strategy anymore. You need to change the strategy. Just like what we were using the normal conventional rodenticide and all that. But when the fortune came into the market, it brought it up that, oh, this is a bait, you don't need to mix, you don't need to do all this. Okumafin is this is we bought this thing because we embraced it. After embracing it, we applied it and it works. That is where I even some people will tell you, oh, I love the strategy that, oh, rats, that they even think to the point that rodents, that if you use okumafin, that rodents will not die in your house. It's their own perception, which is the mindset. But what how it works is because they will not die instantly like the knockdown rodenticide that we've been using. But this one will give you room to eat, you can eat and come back and feed on it, come back and feed on it. By the time they play out, maybe that will be the time that it will affect their esophagus, affect their lungs. They started, blood and all that started coming about. They would have been outside. But they enjoy the facility because that is strategy on its own. And nothing, we have time, we can't go into deeply into this strategy thing. Because strategy, what I will tell you is that it's a strategy. Any strategy you want to do in 2020, let it be problem solving strategy. That is the
Mm.
best way you can get money from the client. If you
Fantastic.
don't have any problem to solve, if you don't have any problem to solve, you are not in the business. Let me cap it like that because it's a topic that we always do. But whatever you want to do, let it be a problem solving. Solve someone's problem. That is the best way you can
True.
start a strategy this year.
And I know you for this. If we have enough time, I mean 2 hours, 3 hours is not enough at all, you know. So basically, according to what he said problem solving is the business strategy you need for 2023. Now I'm going to cap all the old discussions for today with just a simple word. And I am a digital marketer. When we talk about marketing, we talk about strategies for the service industry. Basically, technology is advancing. A lot of things are developing, things are changing. All right. The whole method of selling or doing things has drastically changed. All right. That's basically what we are moving forward to right now. And digital marketing is changing the whole format. So as a pest control operator, as a service business owner, maybe cleaning service or pest control, or whatever service industry that you're doing. In fact, it is predicted that as a next in the next 3 or 10 years, everything will be going digital. Every single thing, no matter the business that you're running. We're talking about even Meta. Look at Facebook now. Facebook is changing to metaverse, and all kind of companies are trying to move into the metaverse. All right, because that's the future. and you need to predict the future ahead. And that's exactly what we've done today. Mr. Ayodeji has talked about the product advancement. People are moving beyond just the product, moving just beyond the generations of different products into new products, new advanced products that are eco-friendly, easy to use, and readily available. All right, Mr. David, I talked about different things. All right, I talked about the generations of different pesticides and the applications. They want to talk about the regulatory aspect. We look at the industry and the development that is going into different sectors and different countries. And I really believe that we are moving forward with this. And this is the Pest Experience Show. And my name is Shofu Babalola Theophilus. And this is how we'll be ending up the show tonight. So we only have just a few more minutes. The phone lines are open. Oh, we don't have much time again. If not, I will have allowed phone lines or phone calls. All right. But since we don't have enough time, if you have a comment, you can drop them on the comment chat box. If you are directly on YouTube, you can drop your comments on YouTube and I'll read them. Now, if you are listening directly on the website, on the radio, the chat box is open. Just sign in with your name and we will be able to share your comment. We only have just 2 more minutes left. So let me read out a comment. So I did a poll recently before we log out, before we go. I did a poll, and one of my follower on LinkedIn, Mr. Raja, dropped his comments on the advancement, and that is how we'll be ending the show tonight. The comments really, literally build up my heart that there is something that is coming forward in the pest control industry. I think Mr. Raja will be joining on the pest control on the pest experience show this month. All right. And he said, thank you for inviting me to comment show for Babarola. One of my favorite subjects that I give presentations and facilitate workshops is on the future of pest control. All right. He said the future trend will be for pest managers becoming pest risk managers. And just the way Dr. Engineer Pompey said, the business strategy that you need is that you are solving a problem. All right. And that's exactly what Mr. Raja said. He said, from managing pests today to becoming managers of risk from pests tomorrow. As for 2023, I see exclusion and digital monitoring becoming more used with rodent control, commercial and food processing, requiring assessment based control, cockroach control, termite bait and termite detection, monitoring devices becoming more in use. This is really and highly predictive because this is coming into play already. In general, I see more targeted applications that minimize the use of pesticides but achieve better results with less pesticides by strategic placements that minimize risk to human pets, family, farm animals, and the environment. You can read up these comments on my LinkedIn page, Shofu Babalala Theophilus. And my name is Shofu Babalala Theophilus, and this is the PEX Experience Show. Thank you very much for joining us today. And I see you guys next week, 7 to 8 p.m., same time, same station. See you. Thank you.